Hey,
Hello! Welcome
we are
back
live.
to Get Some Shipped Done. I'm going to get this backing music going. There we go. I have decided
Like,
I really like our theme song that I made with AI. I like it. It's got a good energy to it. It's good stuff. Oh, they go too quiet.
this
There we go.
this current background music, that one.
Well, well, I do like this one too, but no, the theme song itself, the
Oh,
music that goes with the like when we're launching and whatnot, the music that's tied to that. Anyway, I'm just like, yeah, it's good. Get amped music.
I like it. Yeah, uh, it works well. I like what we're doing. We're actually going to get some stuff done because otherwise, some of this stuff would not get done.
So for anybody for anybody who happens to watch this, which I don't know how many viewers we actually end up on, but just for posterity, tell me what you were saying before on what you figured out for this project that you got going on, and why this time has become important for you.
Yeah, like getting the AI developer. It's one of those things that's important but not urgent, not really fun, really easy to go down a rabbit hole, get distracted, and there's just a lot of freedom. And like, I'm not going to make progress unless we are doing it here together.
Yeah, yeah. And do you find that, like, I don't know if it's this way for you, but I have found it's not perfect to do it together. Like it's not like I never get distracted or whatever. It's not like it removes everything, but it tilts the scales drastically more toward I do what I set out to do. I get done the things that I normally wouldn't. That sort of idea, and not only that, it, like, at least for me, it may not be this way for you, but for me, it makes the things that feel like they're hard to get done, it makes a lot of them actually feel fun. Like I'm excited by what I'm actually accomplishing, and I do enjoy the process. I know sometimes for you, you've
Yeah.
talked about, like, sometimes our working together is painful but good, but
Right. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
good.
It at least gets done. It is bearable. Um, and I mean, there's something to be said of if it was not going to get done at all,
Right.
it's better. Um, like it's better to do it painful than
Right.
not at all.
Right.
There's something to be said for that.
Absolutely. Agreed. Now, so the other thing, I'll just throw it out there in case anybody is watching, but my camera, my setup, you don't see my mic, my background's different. I've got a virtual background right now. I'm coming from a hotel room, so my quality, my connection, all of that might be a little bit less than ideal, but we the point of this is imperfect action in the way that actually works for us. So we're gonna keep moving forward and make it work. Perfect. So we got a couple of things I threw into the agenda. We talked a bit before hopping on here. You and I are just coming off of a BNI meeting this morning, and I'm officially a member of the same BNI group that you're a part of, called what's it called again? Profit Builders?
All right. Profit builders. Yeah.
Profit Builders. So I want some help in just thinking through how I leverage that, how I maximize it, how I get out of it great stuff and put into it great stuff, right? Because I feel great about both ends, and boom roasted. And yeah, it'll be good. And since you've been in BNI for a while, I figure you already have given me good advice. But now that I'm able to, like, take action on some things, I kind of it'll cement in my brain a little bit more, if that makes sense. So so there's that. You're working on the AI developer build out. I don't know if you need help on that or if you just need to be doing it together. So we'll explore that. And then what was the other thing that I said? Oh, I've got a presentation that I'm doing today from my buddies Drew and Dave about how you could use AI to make building SOPs a powerful thing, and I've adapted it to make sense for people who have, like, a digital agency, an AI agency. on how it might actually be a valuable service that you could offer. But so it helps your own business, but helps other people. Anyway, I've got a few things to get done. Just a few final, knots to tie, or I don't know what's the metaphor that I'm thinking of for
loose ends.
Loose ends. There we go. I've got to
End.
tie up some loose ends on that. Luckily, with the power of AI, I was able to adapt a presentation that I did in the past really quickly using Gamma and some tools. So what normally would have taken me probably easily a few hours minimum, I was able to take work that I'd already done, adapt it into this new format because a lot of it was the same, and it looks great, it feels good, and it still has that level of complete that that we talk about kind of being part of what matters to me. So anyway, so I'm excited about that. But those are the things that we're accomplishing. I think for my end, just so I make sure to get done what I need to, I'm at least going to start into getting those couple of things done for that presentation because I need to have that done because I'm literally presenting like right after we're off of this. So I'm going to do that first. Does that work for you?
Yeah, that works. And I am going to work on this development a little bit. Part of that is reading, trying to figure out, all right, what's my next step? Because one of the interesting things is this stuff is changing so fast.
Yeah. And before I dive into what I need to do, man, I've been exploring the MCP servers.
Yeah.
I love the concept of what it is, right? Where they, so first off, do you know what it is? Do you have an understanding of it already?
Yeah, it a simple way to say is you talk to Claude and it runs these other tools. So it could like browse the web for you or search Brave through the API. It kind of gives your AI hands.
Yeah, and so not just that. So some of these tools have been around for a while, right? So like the idea of like Lane Chain has had it. I forget like even like Crew AI. A lot of these tools that are designed to build out AI agents, so AI systems that are able to act on your behalf. They've given them tools, but what specifically makes these MCP servers cool is that Claude has standardized the way that you can build out and interact with these tools so that they're interoperable with different systems. And I kind of like what's going on in the AI space because it started that OpenAI, their API became the standard that everybody operated around when it came to prompting and working with AI and all of that via API. And so
Right.
like Claude's API is designed to be drop-in replacement. Open Router is designed to be drop-in replacement. And like all of these models that are being built out, they're just following the same sort of standard that OpenAI created for the API. Well, Claude actually, like Anthropic with Claude, actually created this MCP server thing. And it again, it's becoming like just the standard for how these people are working with tools. I think, if I recall, OpenAI is even working with it at this point. So like there's so there's this cool, like, I don't know, it's an exciting time in the development of this technology where like these big companies that are competing are not just improving their own models, but like the open source nature of so much of this stuff is really creating an ecosystem where like it's all rising together. And we as the consumer of this technology just win in the process because you get lots of different people putting their minds to how to best solve some of these problems and create solutions. And man, it's just awesome. So these MCP servers, they give you a way where instead of thinking really linearly, where you're like, I need this exact process to happen, you could sort of think in this, like, I create the right environment for something to happen, and I could create a like an AI person whose role is to do certain things. And it's like, well, if they're going to do these things, here are the tools that they would need to accomplish that. They're going to need to send the email, draft the, review the emails, read the emails, mark them as read, all of those things. And so you could define these tools and give them access to the thing that gives them awareness of these tools, and they can use the tools as they need to. And since it's interoperable, it makes it so that like you don't necessarily have to rebuild the tools each time. You build it once, and then wherever you need to give something access to it, you can. And it really creates an environment where you could do some upfront work in order to save yourself a lot of work in the long run, and it's a very repeatable process. So at least the vision of it is really cool. Right now, I'm finding that the implementation is harder than I'd want it to be. That I keep running into issues of, I forget the guy's name. It's not Smarter Every Day. Stuff Built Here, I think is the name of the YouTube channel. But anyway, he talks. He's an engineer who builds really cool things. He built a robot that cuts hair, and he built a basketball hoop and board that you can't miss. So like it moves to you so that every shot goes in. Anyway,
is that Mark Rober?
No, this one isn't Mark Rober. Okay. Different guy. Even geekier than Mark Rober. You watch him with your kids. Your kids would probably enjoy the stuff that he does. I think it's Stuff Made Here is the name of the channel. Anyway, one of the things that he talks about is he talks about the idea of integration hell, that like you get parts of the system working well, but like actually getting them all to connect together and work right, that like you spend a lot of your time there. And I know that's where I am with these MCP servers. And it sounds like maybe that's part of where you are on some of this AI developer stuff too.
Yeah. Like I've done enough programming with it to realize what the issues are. And so I'm working on like my goal is just like referrals while you sleep is a marketing solution that took a long time to make really simple for the end user. I'm taking the time to how do I build the foundation here so that it'll be easy for my developer that I hire. Right.
Yep. Makes sense. And it's one of those things, there isn't exactly a right answer. Sometimes you just have to feel your way through the darkness while you're finding it out. Anyway, I get it. Well, cool. So, I'm going to go ahead and let me pull up the slides that I'm working on. Let me share my screen. And I think I just have a couple of things that I need to get found. Oh, here we go. Not history. I want gamma. There we go. I had a lot of fun with this one. This matrix. I thought it was funny. So at our BNI meeting today, Julie's presentation leveraged the same basic theme. I was like, oh, hey.
Oh, nice.
All right. But I need.
What did she say? Just view me as your Southern white girl Morpheus.
I think she should put that on her business card.
Yes.
Julie, the Southern white girl Morpheus. Oh, all right. What do I need to do? Okay, so I've got this. I know I have my prompt in Obsidian. Yeah, I need to bite the bullet and just pay for this just so I can share out of these easier. Does Obsidian Sync give you easy access to like a public share link?
I think so. Because I've got some add-on. I guess it's note.sx.
Okay, gotcha. I got you the information that you were looking for the other day, right? On
you did, yeah. You did.
Yeah, okay. Just making sure I got that to you. So one thing that I did do is I did set up a HackMD integration.
Yeah.
So that I can push notes to HackMD from here as well. But like some of the stuff, I don't know. It's not ideal in how it's built out, and I don't have the time or patience to like rebuild it myself. So
really care that much.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I got this link. Let me copy the share link, and I'm just gonna throw it in here. Okay, yeah, perfect. Can I link this? I can. Style. Oh, there we go. No, that's not what I want. I want this. Perfect. And then I could change the text here, maybe. All right. How do I modify you button? There we go. All right, I want this. All right, perfect. So when I share this out, the link to that will be in there. All right, and I think I want to create an example site that I could share out. Make a copy. Okay, so what I'm doing right now, I use Google Sites for my like internal company SOPs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing right now is I'm creating a duplicate of this that I could just share out, so that people have an example of how I think about this. Get rid of that. All right, that part's good. All right, that one looks good. Let's go here. That one. I'm okay with sharing that video. I think that makes sense. I think this is fun to share this one too. I need to do my own video for this.
Instead of using that one.
Yeah, this is Leanna's video. I need to create my own, just that I'm pretty sure it's fine, but just for sake of my own internal stuff, having my own videos is all. Okay, but that one's good. Okay, and then in here we have templates. Template. This one's a good example. Yeah, all right, perfect. I think this is fine. I think all of this stuff, I don't know, maybe. Do I want, I don't know, where is this going to be shared? What do I want here? By the way, this is a really useful page to set up for an assistant if you haven't already. This is what I use. So I set this up and I have all the links and stuff. So this is what Muriel uses whenever I need, like whenever I'm getting booked onto something. And it has all the common answers to the things that show up on those things. And if we're missing anything, I try and get it added. So like I have bios here. I have like, what are my speaking topics? What's the booking procedure? What are my social links? what are my calendar links, contact information. I set it up like a standard SOP, but it's kind of quick access to all the information, and then like a link to all my heads and stuff.
Nice. So it's all right there.
Yep, exactly. And actually, Meryl, we probably need to go in and update this. Can you work on getting this page updated for me? Let's add it as a task that we need to work on. I probably just need to talk you through what the changes need to be so that we could get them implemented. But like there's things that you could already fix on our current site. Like getting zackhammer.me added, getting like maybe we separate out, like I don't want to delete the information about real estate growth hackers, but maybe we like separate it to like a different area. Maybe we duplicate the page and have it as legacy and then do like the new updated one, something like that. But anyway, let's add it as a task for us to work on, and go in and see what you can do. Actually, it looks like you already got some of these things updated, but maybe make some notes of what things you think might need to be updated. So I also use a lot of different links for different things. So I have those in here too. So like Muriel will send calendar links to people for my Harlan Insider project or booking people onto my podcast, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's like this is just the quick access document that she uses, and whenever we have stuff that we need to do stuff for, she's got a quick place to get access to it.
So it all right there.
Makes it simple to take action on those things without me having to think about it, which is important because I don't tend to think about it. Most of this stuff would be fine to leave, I guess, but yeah, I'm gonna leave most of that stuff. Okay, I think this one should be good. Publish your site. Publish. Who can view this? I'm gonna publish. It's public. Done. Publish. All right, cool. Let me add a slide for this. Okay, so there's no spoon. Success metrics. Yeah, I think I want to add it here. Let's add a button. And I want to go here, and I want to go to this one. This is the one that I want to link to. This is a good example of like displaying a good SOP. Want it centered. Color default is fine. Perfect. All right. Charlie.
Yeah.
Let me know. What does this make sense? I'm just going to quickly flow through kind of the layout of this. Let me know if there's anything that you feel like is missing for somebody to like hear this information and be able to take action on it. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so so I got my title slide, setting it up. This is still just set up. Okay, so this is talking about increasing business value. Yeah, so this is talking about like the power of SOPs, why they're important. Okay, this is the typical problems that people run into with SOPs, and this is talking about how we can fix those problems with AI. Okay. And then this is going in a little bit more into the practical. It's like, okay, so we know that we can fix this. Now, what does a good SOP actually look like? What are the components that I figured out actually matter for that? Because I do have some unique takes on this. So this allows me to go and talk about that. At this point, I will go and I talk about it here, then I'm going to go and I'm going to demonstrate it. I'm going to show this is what the ideal outcome needs to look like. Does that make sense?
Gotcha. Yeah.
Okay. And then, so then it's like, okay, so if this is the ideal, well, the old way of trying to do it, like, here's what's lacking, here's what we're doing instead. Okay. And how the process works. So here I'm more explicitly explaining kind of my flow for how we create SOPs. Okay. So record, generate with the transcripts, then upload to the matrix, transform raw data into perfect SOPs using AI. Okay, so that's like the overarching process. This is really, it's a repeat of the same thing, but it's my opportunity to click in and show the prompt. And I'm not going to actually demonstrate that, but like I've got the link here for people to click to get the prompt to be able to take their video transcript plus the prompt and get back the SOP. Does that make sense?
Nice. Yeah.
So through this, so people get access to this presentation, which means they'll have access to this link. So they'll have the prompt. Let me just verify. Yep. So they'll have the prompt. They'll be able to use it. They copy paste this whole thing into AI, and that gives them that outcome. Okay. So then next, this is just like this is sort of a minor modification to the presentation, talking about here's some of the ways that, like, let me expand your mind of what's possible now that you know this, right? So obviously there's the improvements for your own business, but this is actually the kind of thing that you could potentially offer as a service to people, right? Where you say, let me help you do this. Let me help you create these things. You record your process, and then we'll turn them into SOPs. We'll build out the site. Anyway, it's another thing that you could do. I don't currently do this as like a business. Well, I don't know. I guess I kind of do. This is definitely something that I have helped people with, and they pay me. At least one person has paid me, $100 an hour to do this for them, and they haven't been super worried about the amount of time that it takes. So easily thousands of dollars profit of doing this for people. So I might mention that, but. Anyway, so I'm talking about that, where it's like, hey, in this AI agency sort of idea, this is a service you could offer. It not only helps you, but it's a service you could offer. Here's some of the ways to think about that. This is just, again, kind of what are some of the possibilities with this? It's more of like tying up the loose ends, concept wise, of saying, okay, so here's how you can make money, but like here's just overall what happens with these, right? And then next steps: take the red pill, implement what you've learned, or take the blue pill. Basically, I'm giving them the somewhat false choice. But look, when I actually present it, it looks like that, and I just think it's awesome.
I like that.
Indeed. And so then questions. And I end on the question slide. Is there anything that you could think of that, like, I'm not giving people what they would need in order to take action on that? I'll walk through the tools, but the tool portion of getting the transcript is at this point stupid easy. It's you use Loom, or you record the video, you throw it into Mac Whisper or something. Like, I don't know. I probably need a simple video that's just like, here are all the ways that you can get a transcript from something. But
no, I mean, I think that's pretty straightforward. That's pretty simple.
Yeah. Does it? So then they're gonna get linked to this example training portal here. So they're going to be able to see an example of how I do my SOPs, how I lay out an SOP site. So that gives them ideas of even what they could deliver on. Even when I talk about this, I'll talk about how using Google Sites for this and why and some of that stuff too. So that should naturally come out of the conversation. But any thoughts on any of that? Anything that you think I need to change? Anything I'm missing?
No, I think I mean, that's a pretty good high level overview.
Right.
And I think that's great.
Yeah, honestly, this one's going to be one where part of what I'm excited about for this is I'm going to do this for another group, but it makes sense for my own community. I'm going to package it up as like a mini training as well. I might even do it as its own mid-ticket offer, and offer like another Q&A or something. I don't know. It'll at least be in my course library, where it's something that people could flow through. It's like here's how to do this. Here's this thing as a tool, and it's not a super complicated concept, but there are moving pieces that matter, and so having like a good overview, I think will be good. I'm expecting that this one's going to be a shorter one for me. Like I think I'm going to be able to pretty readily get through it in like 30 minutes.
Yeah. Are you going to have any offers for it afterwards? Like, hey, if you want to know my in-depth stuff, you can get my course that I just created.
Yeah, I mean, this is a presentation to a paid community. I'm getting paid to do it. My underlying goal is always somebody hears it, could take action. They may or may not be the right fit for my community. They may or may not be the right fit for my other stuff. I'm trying to decide what my best option would be on that front. I don't know. Talk me through that. What do you think? So to put this in perspective, this is being done. This one specifically is being done for a community that is geared toward like AI agency owners. So people who are building an agency offering AI services and marketing services to like businesses, right? So kind of
so I would think a really simple thing would be like, hey, this is pretty, this is similar. This is really similar, kind of part of what I do. I just did a whole however many hour training on how we take content and create it into social media stuff. So if you're interested in like, how can you take this idea and really create content, do more with it, you can buy that.
That makes sense. Yeah. And I forget what they said about making offers on it. They don't want the presentation to be a pitch.
Right.
I'm solid on that. The presentation itself is not a full on pitch. I think amplifying that offer. So let me think about it this way. Let's use my own process on this. So what I love to do is I love to solve a problem and then show people how here's the next problem they're going to run into, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what the next problem they're going to run into on this one is. I kind of close the loops pretty well on this as a individual package thing. What can you envision would be the other problems that they're running into next?
I don't know necessarily that what's the next problem they'll run into, but with this group, you've already built that other thing. I think a simple thing would just be, here's something pretty similar to this, another problem we might run into.
That makes sense.
Yeah, part of that. I think it's just simpler.
That makes sense. Yeah, and that'd be a good option. And so that one was all about how to turn the meetings that you're already having into more content, into unlimited content. Yeah, that's a good option. So yeah, do you think I should add a slide for that, or should I just talk about it?
Yeah, I think it'd be worthwhile to have a slide, or they can go there and get that if they'd like. How many hours was it?
The actual presentation?
No, the training that you did.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. Like the
Yeah.
actual that sorry, just a second. I'm trying to find the landing page that I did for that. Yeah, the effortless content system. That's what it was called. Yeah, it ended up being only like an hour or two, something like that.
Yeah. Wow. So you got it pretty efficient.
Yeah, I did. I mean, actually flowing through the content wasn't too bad. I got it dialed in. I put in a lot of work to clarify my process and my system, and that made it, that made it work well for that. So yeah. Let me do this real quick. I'm gonna go ahead and generate out that slide. I'll show my process for this because people might find it interesting. Okay, so I'm gonna share entire screen. Share. And let's see, what's my best way? Can I export this? All cards. Let's try exporting it as a PDF, and let's see if it has all the text when I do it this way. Yeah, that looks like the text is selectable without any issue, so it should be good to go on that. So I'm going to come into Claude. I'm going to upload file.
No, go.
Just a second. All right. I tried to present my screen, but it seemed to stop. There we go. It's back. Okay, so I got those, and then I'm going to give it this context. And I'm going to use AI to prompt it real quick. I am wanting to add a slide toward the end of the presentation that I'm uploading that essentially mentions and gives people the opportunity that, hey, if they liked this and they want more, I recently did a presentation on how you can leverage AI to, my effortless content system that makes it so that the meetings that I'm having anyway turn into all the social content that I need and other content that I need to promote myself, the entire system and all the prompts, documentation, and all of that. And if people want access to that, that they can get access to it. So I want a clear, cool, compelling slide to add to my presentation. Just give me the text itself that would go into it. Use basic, simple markdown formatting for that. It should feel relevant. It should bridge the gap well. This is going out to a group of digital agency owners, and I'm going to be presenting that today. So that's what I'm looking for. All right.
Yes, you do. Because Mom said.
Perfect. Let's grab that. Let me clear out the parts that I don't need. Okay, and then I can come back into Gamma. Where are you, Gamma? Where do you think I should throw that? What point in here? After the next steps? Before questions? Or what do you think?
I mean, I think it'd be good that
Oh, you're cutting out on my end. What'd you say?
no, I was just thinking, I mean, my thought is, I mean, that I guess it could be after. I could see it even replacing that next step. I mean, that's pretty straightforward, like,
Right.
hey, I mean, go ahead, start using this. It's pretty simple, quick, and efficient. If you like this and want more like it, um, you can reach out to me or buy my
You think
stuff.
you think I should do it that way? If I should just have it be like, hey, reach out to me, or should I give them the link?
I don't know. What do you think?
I kind of like the reach out to me because it also lets me, like I like the idea of it gives me more opportunity to like find out what's up and find out maybe that specific course is not exactly the best fit. Maybe they have something else that I should point them to that, right? Where it's like, hey, if you want help with this, like, I don't know, maybe I make them more aware of. I don't know. So I mean, that's a good example of a specific example, but them being intrigued by that still gives me the opportunity to talk about other things. So yeah, I like that idea. Great, but let's make it a simple reach out if you'd like the information. Get access. Okay, clear without weird if it's a separate paid course. So also give the idea shout on any I'm going to take all of this into this.
Hey, what's up?
No, somebody's at the door.
Alright.
Just a second. All right.
You said that he's going over to our place.
All right, let me think about this. So like that's you know what I like? I like the way honestly, I like the way that where'd it go? I think I put it in here. No, this is the wrap up. I like the way that Zach Hansen kind of does his like different options. Does that make sense? I kind of like the idea of doing it that way, where it's like, hey, if you want to work with me, if you want to take this further, here's some different ways that you can work with me, right?
Yeah.
He does it toward the beginning, but all right, let me. Okay, let's do this. Let me export this.
apparently a root code, which sounds like it's probably the best thing to do, um, is now caches your your Gemini 2.5
Right.
queries, which apparently is supposed to be very helpful.
And
People are excited about
caches
that.
somehow so.
I guess it does something like um, Claude, OpenAI, Gemini. They've got some mode for caching that makes further requests a whole lot cheaper.
Okay.
And so it uses that to be able to do that.
Very cool. Are they not on there? Oh, they're in my pocket. Sorry. I thought I had them on that thing over there. What?
Okay.
Yeah, I should probably just take the car keys, I guess. Where are you going?
Beach.
Not to the church.
I do need to go to church.
Probably could take all of that. Just leave me those. Yeah, I think something like this could work. Let me delete this one. Delete that. Delete that. And let's do this one as oh no, I don't want it as a backdrop. That's not what I want. Move backdrop. I want to change it to this, and then want the background image. This one kind of looks like a rabbit hole, doesn't it?
It could be.
It at least works for an image for that.
Good enough for a log home.
What's that?
Good enough for a log home. That's what my in-laws always say, because they live in a log house.
Oh, gotcha. Or like good enough for government work.
Exactly.
How will that display? Let's see. Oh, I don't like that. Let's move it down here, and then it should. Button preview. What does preview do? Interesting. All right, how do you feel? How do you feel about? Oh, come on, get off of there. There we go. How do you feel about that? Like, I would just talk through the concepts, talk about, hey, they're like, I'll just talk about these different systems. We can work together in lots of different ways. I'll flow through it.
Yeah, I like that.
Perfect. I got questions on there. Okay, perfect. I think that feels good. I think it feels like a good setup.
I like that.
Oh, all right. Where are you on your RuCode stuff?
I am going through I'm reading through, right now someone's talking about O3 codex, and I'm trying to get an idea of what there is what's cool about RuCode is you can have different, so basically agent specialists like we started with, and they can use different tools.
Right.
And it also shows you your context window, so you can know how much there is. And the problem that people have run into are, one, you've got to split a project up into individual pieces,
Right.
and give AI like one piece of the context at a time, and you got to have a way to track that. So you got to have long-term memory. And so that's one of the things that I'm researching is, all right, how do you create the small task and how do you track it? And then the other thing that people run into is, as it is making updates, kind of, I guess, similar thing. Not only are you tracking the task, but are you learning and creating the correct documentation, so as you move to the next task, it has the full context.
That makes
And
sense.
um, with that, of course, you got kind of the different phases. You got the research phase, you got the programming phase, you got the testing phase. One of the things that I've realized needs to happen is, I really want my AI programmer to be, it's called TDD, test driven development.
Right.
So, for example, if you've got, I want to connect to NoCoDB, it actually writes a test first, and there's no code, so it fails. Then they write the code and say, does it work? And then if it doesn't, they keep updating the code until that test works.
Right.
And what's cool is, then as you move to the next thing, it does the same thing, but it runs both tests. So it makes sure that you didn't break anything previous. And one of the hardest things about hiring a developer is writing the test. And so, but it's also it's the slowest up front, but it's the fastest far, like as you go down the road, like you gotta have it. And so that's part of what I'm looking at. All right, how do I make sure that, we split it up into tasks, we've got the memory, and we've got the test-driven development. And so I'm kind of seeing that there's multiple memory banks, so to speak. And and folks. And so I've almost gotten through most of my tabs. This is part of my superpower is most people would be done reading by now, but
Right.
I'm in the research phase, and so I'm slowly plugging through. It does feel like a slog right now,
Right.
but I think part of us being on here is I'm not taking phone calls. Like I'm not doing other things. Like there's part of this that's kind of painful for me right now. Like I'm just
Right.
sitting here like, oh my gosh, I want to get to where I want to be, but I also feel like this is really important.
That makes sense. That makes sense. There's a few ideas that come to mind. I wonder what you found on this front. So this relates back to actually a conversation that I just had with somebody about kind of how I think about trying to work with these context windows, and maybe like some of this might be worth writing down and defining some of these different roles that you're likely going to need agents for, like what they do and what their outcome is. That might not be typical in a development cycle, but is going to be necessary in an AI development cycle, like with a team of AI agents. So I think it might make sense that you have like a very specific test writing agent that could be pulled into any of your tasks, if that makes sense. So it's like that they need to be provided with like all the context, right? So the context won't be the entire code base. Like I would imagine what it needs to see is it. I don't remember all the names of the different things in that structure that you had showed me before, and I'm not sure how much of that is coming into play here. But I think it being aware of the total project goal, right, and like where you are in the overall process. I'm imagining it having like not the entire code base, but essentially like the guidebook to the entire code base, if that makes sense. Like these are the functions that are in here, what they do, how they work, like without the actual code, without the actual code itself. And then what else? So, because with that context, it knows what the project is and what the overarching project goal. It knows kind of what the functions are that are happening. So it knows now, hey, in this specific task, these are the elements that are here, but we're not wasting a ton of tokens on like the actual code executing it. But it has enough details to kind of know the ideas of how the code itself works, right? So we know like it knows the inputs and outputs and how things need to be structured, right? There's a part of your documentation that includes that, right? That I forget what that document was called, but you know what I'm talking about, right? That has like, okay. So it gets provided those things, and then it writes the tests. One of the potential blind spots. I don't know if any of this is helpful. One of the potential blind spots. How sure are you going to be that the tests that it writes are good, meaningful tests versus a test that it could pass, but it doesn't actually move you forward?
That could end up being a thing. So far, whenever I've tested it, it's been pretty smart at writing good tests. But that could eventually be a thing. It's not yet.
That makes sense. And it might be good enough if it's within a narrowly defined enough scenario that you don't get like hallucinations where it thinks that it's doing the test well.
Well, and part of this, so I mean, you're hitting on something. The solution is you take the big PRD and you break it into little tasks. And so
Right.
it's only working on this one task. Now,
Right.
when it runs the task, it runs all of the test. But when the test was written, each one was only focused on their little chunk.
Right.
And so that's, the hope, the goal, the solution.
That makes sense. And so, yeah, what's nice is like, what's nice about this is like, I don't think you need to develop out agents for each task. Like, meaning like say step one is you need to connect and check to NocoDB. And then step two is you need to update a record in NocoDB. And right, like, so you're thinking through those different steps. Those tasks can be done by the same type of agent.
Right.
Yeah. So like, so you develop the
agent. Right.
And so your test writer, you don't need like a unique test writer for each task. You need a good test writer that they're just, when they're given the context for that singular task. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And so what you're working on, so what you're researching right now is the memory portion of them essentially having access to all that context. Is that what you're describing, of like having the PRD, having those, and how that's working, or what aspects need to be in the memory?
So you've got a couple of things. One, you've got the agents. So like this one I'm looking at right here, it's got that's not a good example. Let's see. Here's a good one. You've got the master orchestrator. You've got the test writer. You've got the UX specialist. You've got the document person. So you got the agents, you got the memory, and you got the breakdown into individual tasks. Oh, so how do you have all those work together fluidly?
Gotcha.
And there's some really good solutions. So it's a matter of just
figuring out which one you like.
I could test all of them, but what I'm doing right now is I'm reading through what the different people are saying. And finally, Reddit is helpful again.
Right.
And seeing what people are saying, how they're, the issues they're running into. And I want to do that as much as possible before just testing every single one. Because what I've seen so far, as I've like looked at the different ones, I've seen, like, there's one that's real famous called Taskmaster, but I don't see a way to make it a test-driven developer. So like, okay, like how do I find a way to pull everything that I know into it? Which, a lot of people are thinking about this.
Right. I mean, could it literally be as simple as even something like Taskmaster? Maybe I'm wrong. Could it be as simple as part of what you do in the instructions is that for each step, you always start by writing the task, or by writing the test first, and like, here's the test writer. Here's the agent that does that. Could it be as simple as like including that in the system instructions for the overarching Taskmaster Taskmaster system?
It doesn't look like that the way that Taskmaster is built, but there's other systems similar.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Cool.
Yeah. So I've got I've gotten through most of my prompts, which is pretty good.
Sweet.
And now I think it's a matter of just picking one and testing it out.
Right. Sweet. And then what did you figure out your end goal for this is? It's because you're not going to be the one to run the system. We figured that out, right?
Yeah.
Like you need to be able to run it enough so that you know what it does, how it works. You could run it. It's more that you can't reliably and consistently run it, right? So
Right.
So you need familiarity without you being part of the machine, without you being part of the process that gets you the end result.
Right.
So that's the goal that you're working on. So initially you had thought, I need to be able to accomplish in 1 to 2 hour sessions this thing. You've shifted away from that into, I need to understand this. I need to understand this and build this in a way that somebody else could code the way that they want to, but I'm equipping them to be more powerful in that time that they work.
So my thought is I want them to run the 2-hour system.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that makes sense. So and for you, like, you sort of intuitively understand, like, that's a good sprint block of just, you sit down, you're working through something, but it feels easier than what would normally be being done. You're getting more done in that time, because they're not having to switch gears between writing tests and doing that. Like, it's a different, yeah. That makes sense.
And I mean, this is crazy, but like, my long-term vision is like, I would love to be able to find people that have unique views and be able to publish them. I mean, at the end of the day, Referrals While You Sleep publishes your unique human insight to your sphere.
Right.
Right. And that's always been my goal, or at least for a long, long time, to be a publisher. And the idea of, if I can have someone that runs a 2-hour team, then we can, like, how cool would it be if I could develop brandy for you in 3 days?
Right.
Like, that's like, I don't think that's going to be unheard of. That's my goal, right?
That makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. It's really interesting to explore. Well, we got about 8 minutes before we're hopping off today. Are you at a good point where you could potentially talk me through some of what you think my first next steps for BNI would be?
Yeah. So this is what I would do. So the first thing is, of course, do a good one-to-one with each person. Maybe do 2. I've found that a really good one-to-one probably takes me an hour, and that's 30 minutes with focusing on them and 30 minutes focusing on me. But you might want to do an hour, or you might want to do 45 minutes, or you might want to just do a 30-minute. And I love this. The first 30-minute, just focus on them. It creates that reciprocity. I love that. And then what I would do, so I'll do a one-on-one with all of them. A nice, let's see, who is someone that we got here? Let's see.
And do you have any training recommendations on, like, or even just how you think about doing a one-to-one? Like, anything that I could review that would let me download that system or that concept, so that when I go into it, I'm being effective.
Someone sent what they call a gains profile today.
Okay.
See if I can find that. But my goal, so I've found that most people in BNI they're going to tell you about who their ideal customer is.
Okay.
And that's cool. But what I try to find out who's not a good customer for you, like who's not a good referral. And then I try to up level and be like, all right, who's a strategic referral partner for you? Like, who's someone that is can be like a whale,
Right.
for you.
When you say,
That's what
are you
I try to think.
your amazing Southern accent
Southern
makes me not
accent.
if you're saying whale as in the large aquatic mammal, or if you're saying well as in the thing where you get water from. Which one of those are you
Yeah,
saying?
whale. The big animal. The big animal.
Perfect.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. I who the big fish, right? Like
Right.
who's someone that just can keep on giving. Who's your power partner team? But I think that's harder to understand more than like who can send you a bunch of clients. Like if
Right.
I could connect you to one person that could just keep giving you business over and over and over, like what happens if we could get you a few of those a year, one of those a month. Um,
Right.
um, yeah, that's my big insight because like I do want to give everyone a referral eventually, but like let's see who's someone like I'm probably not going to give our title person a bunch of referrals that's in our group, but like is there one good one that I could probably look through my database, my connections to find, you know
Right.
um so it's really like for me it's all right, here I am with my client. Who do they talk to directly before me, and who do they talk to directly after me? If we can get us all in the group, like
Right.
we're gonna do really good.
And
And
so on the one-to-one, you're focused on getting that information from them. So like,
yeah,
I mean, let's take the title person as an example. Like I don't know who is the right person for them, that could make the connections that they need. Right? They need connections typically to what? Real estate agents, right? So it's people who have real estate agents in their network in a local area,
yeah, probably. It could be a builder. So I know
right?
locally, uh, my title person was always looking for builders. Because that's multiple, tracks.
Right.
Um, and so yeah, so ask her because I don't know the uniqueness of their business.
Right.
Um,
Right.
yeah,
That
so
makes sense.
I like to ask. Yeah,
So you're focusing less on the end customer. You don't want to just give them the one deal. You want to you try and focus on the thing that keeps on giving, right? The thing where
right.
it's a connection that continues to be a source of connections. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. Because to me, that's the power of this. Like, if you were going
Right.
to cold call a strategic partner, it takes a certain chutzpah,
Right.
But a referral to one of those is much it's amazing, and a lot of people are connected through either you got the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. A lot of
Right.
people are 1 or 2 degrees away from like a really good connection for you,
That makes
and
sense.
like it doesn't take a lot of those to skyrocket your business. Like I
Right.
mean,
Right.
literally, it could take one.
Right.
Um, and even if they're not a good fit now, they're a great connector.
Right.
So um,
Right.
those are hard to cold call for. I was
Right.
actually, I was on a call yesterday with someone that's recruiting real estate agents, and he said something that to me was so profound. He said, I want leads, and I don't care what kind of lead it is. An agent is an agent is an agent.
Right.
But then he said two other things. He said, 82% of my agents that leave uh, I've lost 70 agents, and 50 some odd of them, they did 1 to 2 deals a year. So like he wasted all his time really on,
Right.
on all those people. He said the best ones are brokers, but they're the hardest to close and take the longest time.
Right.
And he said, for example, we brought on one broker. It took 4 months of planning, but they brought 120 people in my downline.
Right.
And I was pulling my hair out because I was like, you don't want me to get you crappy leads. You want me to help you, we're talking about, recruiting while you sleep. I
Right.
was like, you don't want you say you want these crappy leads, but you don't. It would be much better to have 2 of those other people this year and you take a quarter off.
Right.
So those are those people are hard to cold call. It takes time. But if you can get a referral from our BNI network, you've just cut the time. Probably you've taken 70% off, right?
Right.
Because you can say, hey, look, Leanne said that we should do a 1-to-1. I'd love to find out about your business. And again, I do the same thing because, I hate rejection. I'll spend the first 1-to-1 still about them and their business. Right. Until they'll usually say, well, what about you? How can I help you? Like, well, hey, let's just, we'll deal with that again. Like, let's just set up another time. I want them to feel like I've got to help you. And it works really well. 2, also, I love helping other people. It's very easy to focus on the other person first.
Right.
Which you do that too. So that's so ask, who's a bad referral for you? Who's your strategic partner? Like, who do your clients work with before and after you? So that we can bring them as a power team, maybe, or just maybe I can connect you to one. Like that's
and how do you define a power team?
A power team is people. The best explanation is the real estate power team. You've got the realtor, you've got the lender, you've got the homeowner's insurance, you got the title, you got the home inspector. So, like in the process of serving their client, they actually need each other, or at least it's super simple. Like the realtor is not going out of her way to pass Jeff a referral. Jeff is not going out of his way to pass Renee a referral. Renee's not going out of her way to, home inspector. Like she literally needs these people.
That makes sense.
So they serve the same client.
So like for me, thinking through like my power team, like you fit in the mix for how do I make people feel, or how do I get people access to marketing that does the work to their warm list that's actually going to work, right? So getting them into your system helps with that. If they're leveraging like the podcasting as prospecting concept, podcast production itself is part of that mix, right? Because that helps you to have the content you need. That helps them to get the outcome that they need. Potentially like somebody who does like copywriting specifically geared toward that zone could be a good option. People who, I don't know. I need to think about that more. Like who are the people that are typically involved in this process?
And designers, I met one the other day. That would be good. One of the cool things about your BNI membership too is, you can visit a lot of other.
Right.
The brand designer I talked to the other day, he said, so this is what's really cool. I asked him who his were, and he said, fractional people. So fractional CFO, fractional CEO. Again, I think EOS coaches. So he said any fractional person is really good for him right now because they don't do what you do and they're helping, and the person wants help, not in house. So
Man,
I like it.
That's really good insight too, because if they hire somebody fractional, in their mind, they are thinking, I could solve this problem and I don't want to do it fully in-house, right? I want somebody who's really good at this aspect, kind of, gig economy sort of idea, ish. It's like the professional gig economy. Yeah, anyway, that makes sense. But what were you saying? Sorry, I cut you off.
So, like, I mean, if you were just going to mention one right now, like, I would probably like mention that. And then, I think anyone else that works in the branding marketing world, everything. And then, of course, I love business coaches, especially EOS coaches, people like that. Specific business coaches, more than life coaches.
Help me think through this. So, like, I get how what I do can help anybody that has like an audience that they need to do content marketing to, right? Like that. If it's like basically anybody that does B2B, something that what I do can help, right? But I'm focusing around SaaS companies. How much does that play into when I'm giving these recommendations, when I'm talking about who my ideal people are? Because like you've said, I'll work with people that are outside of my target zone and be able to help them. But I don't know. You get what I'm saying? Like, walk me through what it sounds like when I'm talking about it.
Yeah. That's a good question. So what is it? It's fascinating. Like, you've heard, all that I'm talking about right now are lenders. I want to be connected with lenders. I just got a referral to Ray Gonzalez and someone that sells Arbonne. Like, I'm still getting referrals to other people, and I can serve them. That's just not my deep messaging. And you've got a very clear, like, I think it makes sense to focus on SaaS companies just because it's so niche, right?
Right.
And what I found is when you talk to a fractional CEO, if you told them, I do this for anybody, they're probably gonna be like, whatever.
Right.
But if you tell them you do this specific thing for SaaS people, they will say, you know what, like, this could probably be for other people too, right? I'm like, well, yeah, it could.
Right.
Like, I let them decide that. This is fascinating. So I've never said this before in my life, but this is kind of a cool thing. Like, when I started in real estate, I told everybody, look, I'm the expert in Mount Juliet, and I still got clients from Murfreesboro and Smyrna. But I also got referrals that I would not get otherwise because they're like, look, Charlie's the Mount Juliet expert.
Right.
Like, because they literally told me, oh, I thought of you because my buddy was in Mount Juliet and you're the Mount Juliet. And so I think it's really smart to like have all of you go deep on SaaS.
Right.
And
maybe
like, and I think people will, like, when you share with them what you do, smart people are gonna be like, you could do this for anybody. And like, well, yeah, I could.
That makes sense. Makes sense.
But I think what's cool about SaaS is like the process you put in. The cool thing about SaaS is you've got monthly recurring revenue, and you want to lower churn. And if you get a good system in place, I mean, really, what you're doing, you're helping them put in a system to create strategic partnerships. And if they've got a system to consistently get strategic partnerships, like they can increase their MRR drastically,
Right.
and lower their churn. Like if they can afford it now, they're going to be able to afford it even more later. I think is what's
Well,
cool. Right.
And part of what's powerful too is like for some of these SaaS companies, especially when there's integrations that are part of it. I haven't even really talked about this, but that portion where when you're partnering up with people that you integrate with, it's part of you creating a really strong moat around your product. Because now, if they're going to switch away from you, they're not just switching away from you. They're also needing to double check, do all these other integrations that I use and rely on, do those go away too? Right? Like, so
Right.
if they're going to switch, they have to like consider a much broader ecosystem than even what you offer.
Right.
Anyway, and so like it does this thing where like it helps you, it helps them, it gives people more value without you necessarily having to develop it directly. Anyway, there's some really powerful components to how and why that works. But
yeah, that makes sense. It creates even more golden handcuffs. It's harder to switch.
And in a way that feels very like it's very voluntary based. It doesn't feel like a top down, I want you to feel trapped. And so
right.
So like I'm locking you in arbitrarily. It feels much more like I selfishly want these things to keep working together. And so because we're doing it this way, I need to stay here. This is just the best option for me. These other options, they might have good features, but they don't do this. Right? Anyway.
Right.
There's something powerful there. I wonder if that there's an angle there that might be worthwhile for you to consider too. Like, I don't know what that looks like exactly, but like is there a tool or software for you that people are already using that like creates the outcomes that you need, that like you could create an easy integration and start building that web of saying like we're, kind of like, it makes me think of like BombBomb being integrated with like Boomtown.
Right.
And they don't need each other necessarily, but like if you build a system where it's working off of it, you have to build out a lot more. But anyway, I don't know. I'd put that in the back of your mind and stew on it. I don't think it's anything to change right now, but it's like I would note that like it's not just that you could potentially find a segment of the market that would work well for you. There might be some level of like the more those integrations tie together, the more likely they want to just keep working with you. Right?
Right. That makes sense. Yeah.
Like is there a CRM system specifically that like is really in alignment with like that ninja selling style?
Right. And
so integrating with it kind of helps, like it gives you a market to connect to. I don't know. Yeah, I'd put it in the back of your mind, but interesting.
Yeah. So that's what I would do. Focus on that. Oh, the other thing is if you go on their LinkedIn, you can look at their LinkedIn and find people they're connected to. And you can look for like search through their LinkedIn to find like, or Facebook to find someone that they specifically know. Like, hey, know Jim who knows X. Like, could you connect me to Jim? So that's kind of another thing if you need, that could be like a first or second round to do that. But yeah, I would ask them those questions. You focus on your partners, and then when you have the ability, visit other BNI networks and just do the same thing.
And you think it's probably the most leveraged for me to start by really doing the one-to-ones with the people in this group currently, because they're the ones that I'm going to have the most continued repeated exposure for.
Yeah.
That makes sense. All right, cool.
And
well, I got a hop.
Okay, cool. This was good. I'll see you later.
See ya. Bye, everyone.
Bye.